Hi, my name is Candy Spangler with the YouTube channel Moto Eye Candy. Thanks for joining me for today's edition of Short Girl Problems. Now this is my 2018 R1200 GS. This is a lower chassis 1200 GS. I got it from the dealership this way, factory lowered. Still, it was a tall bike for me. I came from an F700 GS, a standard height, and I was extended on that bike at 5'3". This big girl, who I affectionately call Amelia, was a little intimidating at first. But what I'm going to show to you today is some of the tricks that I've learned on how to get on this bike and get it upright into the balance point, and then how I get the center stand up as well. And then what I'm going to do is actually put this bike away, and I'm going to pull out the new F850 GS that I'm currently using in preparation for the GS Trophy Challenge. And that is a standard height 850 GS. So what I thought was a pretty tall bike in this lower 1200 GS is actually not a big deal anymore. So moral of the story is if you're uncomfortable on your current bike, go to an even higher bike and then go back to yours, and it'll feel a lot better. I know from experience. All right, so the first thing that I'm going to do when I'm getting on this bike, there's a couple of little tricks that you can do. So I used to, on my 700, put my foot here, and then I would get up and mount the bike like this. The problem with that is, especially for the 700 that leans over a lot more than this 1200, is that puts undue stress on your side stand, and it could break the side stand or even the frame where it mounts to. And that's getting a little scary expensive. So I try not to do that anymore, at least not as a normal practice. On the 1200, however, this bike sits more upright than the 700 did. And so I don't feel like I'm putting a ton of stress on that side stand, but it is still unnecessary stress if you don't have to. And so what I like to do is, as a normal practice, I'll put a hand here, and then I'll sing the song, Everybody Was Kung Fu Fighting. So, everybody was Kung Fu Fighting. That's right, I'm singing to you. So you do the big karate chop across the seat. That works especially well if you have a ton of bags back here and panniers and stuff like that. Otherwise, you can just swing your leg around. It's a little easier. So here I am, my leg is up here on the seat, and this leg is nice and sturdy right here, right? This is not a bad position to be in to upright this bike. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about balance point before I upright this bike. So when you put the bike up, and if you watch one of my earlier episodes, I don't try to muscle this bike up here. I'm going to actually throw my hip into it and just put it to the side, right? So I just uprighted this bike here. It's in neutral, right? This bike on balance point is really, really not that heavy. For a 500 plus pound bike, I think this one's 540, it's really quite easy to balance, the balance point. And so what I'm trying to do is that weight right there to get it up, I need to be able to do on one foot, right? Because I can't straddle this bike, even though it's lowered. So I'm going to do my karate chop over, and I've got one foot firmly planted on the ground, flat foot. So to upright this bike, I'm going to use the same handholds that I used when I was showing you how to move the bike around your garage. Right here, definitely want one hand on the front handlebar, as it's going to give you control of the bike. Now, if you're on any kind of uneven surface, you definitely want to have the bike in gear, because you don't want it rolling around. The bike is off. It doesn't matter anyways. Right now, we're in a very level garage, so I'm just going to leave it neutral. The other thing I'm going to do is actually grab on this rear handhold, or on the luggage rack. There's a couple of little handholds back here that you can get to that you can hold on to securely. And so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to face the bike, and I'm going to squat down a little bit to where the back of this leg right here is actually hitting the side of my seat, not the top of the seat, the side of the seat. So I'm going to come down like this. I have my handholds. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to use my legs to upright the bike. So again, no hands, right? This is all leg strength. And I have a solid foot purchase on the ground here. So now what I'm going to do is transition. I'm going to bring this arm up here, and then I'm going to slide onto the seat. Next thing I'm going to do is, since I have to get the side stand up, I'm going to now keep this bike on the balance point and slip to the other side. So just like that. So get used to, do this in your garage, do it on a rainy day, do it on a winter day. Practice going from side to side without disturbing the balance point of the bike, right? So once I'm here, and I've got one foot down and it's pretty steadily planted on the ground, now I'm ready to reach down and get my side stand up. I will tell you, when I got on this bike, it was a huge transition, mainly because of where the side stand is. On my F700, the side stand was pretty much straight down off my foot. I could reach down with my leg, catch the flicker, and pull it up and be able to put it down, up and down easily. Pulling the side stand up on the 1200 proved to be very difficult. To the point that I even put a hose clamp around the top end of the side stand just so I could catch it with my foot and pull it up. However, over time and after riding standard height 1200s and 1250s, I've learned that as long as I keep it on the balance point, right, I can reach down with no feet on the ground and quickly catch that center or the side stand and pull it up. So it looks something like this. So here I am sitting, I've got it on balance point, I come up and I flick it up. It's just for a split second, but that's all I need. Putting it down is very easy, right? So I'm just gonna look ahead, keep your balance point, and you're back up. Never need to put a foot down on that side. So practicing it on this bike, on the lower 1200, really prepared me for being able to do it on the standard height 850. So again, practice this in your garage. It's really handy to do on rainy days before the sun comes up or after the sun goes down. You need to have garage days and being able to still show your bike some love and affection. So again, putting the side stand down, let the bike come over, trust your kickstand, then I can slide back over and easily get off the bike. Real quickly, I want to give a shout out to Jocelyn Snow for showing me the trick, putting my back of my leg on this bike to upright that standard height 1200 that I rode when I was at her place. It was really a struggle for me, and I'm very appreciative for these tricks that she showed me. So now let's take a look at the 850. Gets decidedly more exciting on that bike. All right, so here I am with the F850 GS. So you're going to see, compared to my lowered 1200 GS, you're going to see that I look far more tippy-toed, if you will, and I can only touch on one side at a time. And in order to keep it on the balance point, I've got to be tippy-toed even when I only have one foot down. So you're going to see that. The other thing with this bike, much like the 700 and the 750, it leans a lot more. So lifting it up off the side stand, that technique is going to be far more important. So you're going to see me throw the karate chop over, and then I'm going to find my handhold on this bike, And then I'm gonna squat down and lift it right up, okay? It's really not that hard when you're using your leg strength, not your arm strength. So now that I have it on balance point, I can reach up, feel the front handlebars, and now I'm gonna slide over, keeping this bike on balance point the whole time, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and put this in first gear because this is how I want you to do it out in the wild. All right, so here we are. I can touch on one side or the other, right? But I'm keeping the bike on balance point the whole time, right? I'm sliding my body to the right and left, but I'm keeping the bike on balance point. Easy peasy, right? So now I need to reach down and get that kickstand. So again, I'm on this side. I'm going to real briefly come over, flip that thing up, and then come back down on the right side. Just like that. So this is your standard height 850 GS with a 5'3" girl on it. Not a big deal once you get used to it. So now going back to my lowered 1200 GS is really like a dream anymore. So thanks for watching this edition of Short Girl Problems. Feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel, Moto Eye Candy, or you can email me with any questions or suggestions for future videos. And my email is avtrix2@yahoo.com. That's A as in Apple, V as in Victor, TRIX, the number 2, @yahoo.com. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time. Ride on!